investing in yourself consistently, there's a mismatch happening on a frequency level. 50 people from that room chose to reach out to me and book in a call with me when I didn't even pitch or call to action. No pitch. Most people stay stuck and they stay stationary. And guess what? Fear loves to feed on stationary people. So how do we bust through this? I've invested close to $1 million in myself. Let's say I invested that money in a house instead of me being the ROI. Yet instead, I decide to invest that money in me. And as a result, I've now shifted into consistent 300K months. Tell me what house yields you a return of $300,000 months. None. I hit my first 100K cash month, not because of luck, but because of I'm Alex Tripod, and this is the manifestation game. After coaching thousands around the world and becoming one of the most trusted voices in manifestation, I realized you don't get what you want, you get what you embody. If you're a high-achieving business owner who knows they were born for more wealth, more impact, more freedom, this podcast will unlock the codes. So let's collapse timelines. Let's calibrate to the frequency of your future self, because let's be honest, nothing is real. Everything's
a hologram.
Let's fucking go. Welcome back to another episode of the Manifestation Game. And today I'm going to talk to you about how I hit my first 100K cash month, not revenue, cash month. And I feel like I did this quite early on in my business. And so we're not going to go into the strategy or the funnel. Like, I'm obsessed with that stuff. And a lot of people don't really think that, like, oh, she's just a manifestation coach. Nah, babes. I am obsessed with strategy and funnels and all of it, because when your frequency is working, that funnel is on fire. What is super sad to see is when people focus solely on a funnel, solely on a strategy, yet they're not doing anything for their internal programming, anything for their frequency, and yet they're not understanding why the strategy is not working. So where I want to start with this one is that, and I'm sure you've heard me say this before, if you've been following me for a while, you are your greatest return on investment. And so for me, I know one of the biggest key things in shifting into my first 100K cash month so early on in my business is because I had the courage to continue to invest in myself and to get myself into rooms and containers and retreats and events and into close proximity, right? Not free little bitty, actual close proximity. How can I spend time up and close and get near the leaders, the mentors, the coaches, the speakers, the people that are actually doing what I want to do, that are actually living the life and are truly the embodiment that I want to live. And even though I didn't know what codes was 9 years ago, really, that's what I was doing. I was paying money for their codes. I was paying money to get into close proximity to literally download these people's codes, because I knew that was the fastest way to collapse time, to learn their wisdom, to learn from them, to be in their energy, to be in their frequency, to believe the same things that they believe to be true, right? So I heavily invested in myself from the get-go. If you've heard my story, you would know that I quit my job without one paying client. I went to the bank, I took out a $20K loan, and from that $20,000, I literally invested in just under $40,000, all on payment plans. I invested all a $20,000 mastermind, $16,000 on my coaching qualifications, $1,500 on transcendental meditation, literally all in the same week. And that investment put a fire up my ass. It was just like, whoa, this is it. And the biggest thing that I want to land here is that you want to have skin in the game. You think you're going to create 100K cash months, 500K cash months, even 30K cash months without having skin in the game. You're laughing, you're joking yourself, you're kidding yourself. And I'm just going to little segue tangent here randomly what's coming through really potently, and that is the biggest mistake that I see in the industry, and that is whether you're a coach, a healer, an affiliate marketer, or you sell some sort of online product or service, and you are expecting people to invest 5K, 10K, 20K to come and work with you, yet when was the last time you invested 5, 10, 20K in and stretching yourself financially? And here's the thing, if you're not investing in yourself consistently, not once last year or 3 years ago, if you're not investing in yourself consistently, there's a mismatch happening on a frequency level, meaning you're down here vibrating in this reality where you're not investing in yourself, yet you're looking for clients to invest in you. Where are they? They're all broke. They all don't value investing in themselves. They all don't have the courage. They don't see the value in my programs. Is that a mirror? Because let's say this same version of you decides to invest in themselves, that scary amount with that coach you've always wanted to work with, and all of a sudden you invest that 5, 10, 20, 50K, woof, all of a sudden you shift into a whole new frequency, a whole new reality. All of a sudden you're vibrating with all these other people that also do the same as you. I cannot tell you how many times I have people come into my containers and they've invested an amount that has stretched themselves, and within the week, I'm not joking you, within the week they have made the investment back. They didn't change the strategy. They didn't change anything. All they did was say yes to themselves, and the universe said yes back because they had a quantum shift in their self-worth by choosing themselves, and they were in integrity and alignment and a match to those also being a mirror to what they were doing. So that was a little tangent there. And this correlates beautifully with my story because, to be honest, I've never slowed down investing in myself. I actually haven't slowed. I'm still investing in myself. In fact, I think for the first time, I'm going into my 10th year now as a manifestation coach, the first time ever, the last 3 months, apart from here and there, a couple of coaching sessions, is literally the only 3 months I've ever gone without a coach in 10 years. I just haven't found that next coach yet, and I'm not going to manufacture it. So I'm just chilling. I'm chilling until they come into my field, right? But isn't that crazy? Isn't that interesting that the woman who continues to quantum shift in income, visibility, the life she leads, the leader she is, me, I'm talking about me, isn't that interesting that the one common denominator is no matter how shitty my investments have been in the past or my experiences, or maybe I didn't get what I wanted out of that container or that coach, I have never used that as a poor excuse to stop me from further investing in myself, because I know the cardinal rule of thumb. The rule is invest in you. You are your biggest asset. And I see so many people not actually having the courage to back themselves, to back their dreams. And instead we get conditioned in this society where we think, I'm going to invest in a house. I'm going to invest in a house. That makes sense because I've been conditioned to invest in a house and go into a 30-year mortgage. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool, right? And I'm not saying to not invest in a house. Awesome. But also, could you imagine how absurd it would be if you told your parents, hey, I've just invested $1 million in myself? They would whack you around and think you're crazy, right? Let's not even call it $1 million, right? Because that's what I've invested in myself over the last 10 years, right? But let's not call it $1 million. You're cool to go invest $30,000 and take out a finance loan to buy that new car, aren't you? But lo and behold, taking out $30,000 and going into debt, taking out a finance loan to work with your favorite mentor that's going to help you, by the way, quantum shift into a whole new level. Most people would deem that risky, right? And that's not the truth. That's just conditioning. Right? And so we really need to look at, what do people believe about investing in themselves? The people that actually have the life that you want, I promise you, you interview all of them, they will all tell you they have heavily invested in themselves. And so through me investing in myself and not looking at what society is conditioning myself to invest in, I continue to literally look at myself as an appreciating asset. I just keep appreciating. I just keep appreciating and appreciating and appreciating in value. And that's what's happened with my personal brand. I keep making more and more and more and more money. So I have invested, I would say, I haven't done the exact calculation, I've invested close to $1 million cash in myself over the last 9 years in my business. So retreats, events. I invested $100,000 on a business mentor 1 year alone. So yeah, over just under or around $1 million I've invested in myself. And it's interesting because let's say I invested that money in a house instead of me being the ROI, right? Okay, but how much is that house going to yield me? Is a $1 million apartment or a house going to yield me $1,000 a week in rent? $500 a week in rent? How much would that actually get me realistically? Probably anywhere between 2 to 4K potentially of income in rent a month. Yet instead, I decide over 9 years to invest that money in me, this house, which appreciates. And as a result, I've now shifted into consistent 300K months into my business. Tell me what house yields you a return of $300,000 months? None. So to anyone that's feeling I've had a bad experience, I've invested in myself before, and now I'm scared to invest in myself again because that coach was shit or they didn't deliver on their promises or whatever it is. And this is literally like saying, I've fallen in love before in the past and I got my heart broken and that hurt. And because of that, I'm no longer willing to open up my heart again to love. And I'm not going to experience love ever again in my life because one person hurt me. It's the same. I see it so often. Are you going to let one bad investment, one bad experience stop you from risking again and taking another risk and bet on you? It's the silliest thing I've ever heard, So like, I get it. Of course, we want our investments to be awesome. And this is where you get to open up your heart because you deserve to be taken a risk on. Yeah, I've invested in the wrong things in my life and I still made my 100K cash months. I've continued to invest in the wrong things before and now shifted into reality of 300K months. It's not about making right decisions or wrong decisions. It's about having the courage to continuing to say yes to you and your dreams. Yes, I continue to heavily invest in myself, but I also took ridiculous, courageous action, even when it didn't make sense and even when I didn't have clarity. So most people will wait for the breakthrough. They'll wait for the clarity. They'll wait for, I need to know the exact step-by-step plan before I say yes to something, when really the reality is you just need to follow the whispers of your soul and the breadcrumbs. If you have the courage to take that next step, I promise you the next step after that will appear. But most people stay stuck and they stay stationary. And guess what? Fear loves to feed on stationary people. Fear loves to feed on stationary people. So how do we bust through this? We take action because action precedes clarity. Courage is never going to come over and tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, we're ready to do that big scary thing. That's never going to happen, right? You've got to choose to take action. And that's how we bust through this illusion of fear. So this was me. 8 months into my business, taking action. And 8 months in, I'm going to be really honest, I found myself with about $400 left in my bank account because I'd literally everything I was earning, I was depleting back into, like I said, getting into close proximity with those that, had what I needed. And so I found myself with $400 left in my bank account going, holy shit, because I've taken out a loan, I've got debt. I had no debt shame. I don't want to go back to a 9-to-5 job. There's no plan B. There's no plan B. What do I do? And I'm, again, invested $3,500. I'm in an NLP 3-day experience. And there's this speaker on the stage, and he starts talking about how he created a 21-day happiness challenge. And I'm like, And I'm sitting there, and I truly believe that it might not be the event that changed your life, but for me, anytime I go to an event, whether it's a half-day event, 3-day event, a retreat, there's always this one thing, this one golden nugget that just completely, it's the thing that changes everything for me, right? And so for me, at that event, my soul was like, 21-day manifestation manifestation challenge. And I was like, what? What was that? And that was basically my soul whispering, this is it. This is what you're going to do. And it was about the 24th or 25th of November, right? Apparently December's the worst month to make money. Bullshit, 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 more rules. So I plugged the last $400 I had in Facebook ads back then, where, you plugged $400 in Facebook ads and you actually got about 200 leads, right? But I plugged $400 into Facebook ads and I went crazy in promoting it on myself and my own socials. And I created a 21-day challenge. Now, this is what we truly call action before clarity. I had no idea what the 21-day tools were going to be. I just brought in so much excitement. I'm like, this 21-day challenge is going to change your life. It's going to be amazing. And I just created videos and I promoted it and people could feel my excitement, my energy, my conviction, my passion, my obsession with manifestation. And this energy, literally, I think I had 400 people in my first ever 21-day challenge event that I ran. It was a free challenge. It was in a Facebook group. And basically, I share this with you because that month I went from $400 in my bank account to 17 new paying clients. And I had a 997 program at the time called the Tripod Method. So I made $17,000. Now, that's not near the $100,000 cash we're talking about, right? But here's the juice. Here's where it gets really cool. Here's a kicker. That 21-day challenge for me was the turning point where everything changed, where I chose to claim myself as someone that will become known as a manifestation coach. And I chose to claim my truest desires, which was actually, I'm obsessed with this shit. Why am I denying it? Why am I pretending to be a business coach or this or that when actually I just fucking love manifestation? And so I washed, rinsed, improved, and repeated this 21-day challenge about 21 times over the next 2 years, over again and again and again. And this Facebook group grew to about 4,500 people over those 2 years. Now, after about running it for 2 or 3 times, I realized, why don't I started running my own workshop? Again, didn't make sense, wasn't a trained speaker, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know how to sell from stage, nothing. What's this again? Action precedes clarity. You're never ready. So again, how I created my first 100K cash month was I was continuing to take action before I was ready, continuing to invest in myself, continuing to take risks, continuing to do things that most people weren't doing in the industry, continuing to do things that felt scary for me and stretching myself out of my comfort zone because, and I'm going to circle back to this at the end, but a big point here is because my why was my mission. It was never about the money. I made my mission so big. I'm here, I'm Alex Tripod. I'm here to raise the vibration of humanity on a global scale, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fulfill my mission here in this lifetime. And this mission basically made it easier for me to make those difficult decisions, to lean into the things that was actually going to propel me forwards. Quick pause, legend. If you're loving this episode, you need to watch the Manifestation Game movie. It's not just a film, it's an activation. If you've ever felt like you're doing all the things, vision boards, affirmations, rituals, but you're still not seeing results, this movie will shift your frequency, rewire your beliefs, and give you the missing codes. Watch it now using the link in the show notes. Now back to the episode. And so I ran my first workshop probably about 2-3 times after I ran the online version of the 21-day challenge. I called it Raise Your Vibration. It was a half-day workshop between 10:30 and 2:30 p.m. The first workshop I ran, guys, I had a sold-out event of 40 people in Melbourne, right? Then I took that workshop and I did Sydney, and then I did Brisbane, and then I did Adelaide, and then I did Perth, and by the time you knew it, within 8 months, I had literally done 6 or 7 states around Australia. It wasn't even an intentional Australian tour. I just did one workshop after the other every couple of months, right? Again, I became known for it. I claimed it. How many, are you listening to this right now? And I really want you to ask yourself a really honest question. If your name got mentioned in a room, what word would be affiliated with that, right? Oh, that's the one that does Kate, she does the thing, is it the workshops or is it the retreats or is it the business or is it now if there is not a clear, Kate, she's the fucking shadow worker. Like if they're not associating something directly with your name, that means that you actually haven't made it clear to your audience of what you actually support them with, right? And most of us are actually claiming this. And this takes repetition. That actually takes you to claim it as well. So for me, I know when people hear my name, Alex Tripod, they think manifestation coach. Okay. Or maybe lesbian, but that's okay. Manifestation coach and lesbian. Okay. But also that's because I've been very loud about being lesbian, very loud about being my obsession around manifestation. Okay. And so the reason I share this and why this all relates to shifting into my first 100K cash month is after doing all these workshops, wash, rinsing, repeating this 21-day challenge, growing it, becoming known for it. Lo and behold, bring, bring. I get a phone call. Bring, bring. It's Christy Ord. If you don't know Christy Ord, and if you're in a Nagic, you know who Christy Ord is most probably. She is an incredible leader and she's basically has an incredible community of affiliate marketers. And they basically, it's a wealth and health product. And basically she called me and she said, hey, we're running an event called Freedom Fest in Gold Coast. And I was living in Melbourne at the time. And she's like, we'd love to have you on as a guest speaker. You'd get 90 minutes and you can talk about manifestation and blow their minds. And I was like, okay. And look, at this stage, I'm going to be honest, I'd been offered quite a few speaking events with promises of 500 people, and I'd rock up and they'd be like 30. Like a lot of people think, I'm going to fill out an event for you. Are you? And if anyone has ever filled out an event of 500 people plus, you know what it fucking takes, okay? Big difference between a 30-person workshop and a 500-person event. But she had an incredible community, but I didn't believe it at the time, and I was a bit skeptical. I was like, okay. I said, look, and kudos for me for my self-worth for asking this. I'm like, cool, and she's like, what do you want to get paid for this? Like, what do you need? I'm like, look, as long as you can cover my flights and my accommodation, then sure, I'm coming up. Let's do it. So that was locked and loaded, and that was happening in about 6 weeks' time. So they locked me in as a speaker, and even like she was like, "Oh, we're getting speakers like potentially Kerwin Ray's going to be on the event. Bless his beautiful soul." And I was like, "Wow, like they're looking for," and I was like, my ego had a field day. I'm like, how can I be 2 years into business, and they're platforming me as big as other Australian industry leaders? Like clearly, I've made a name for myself, and I didn't even realize. And I share this with you because I get on stage, shitting my pants. Do you think my nervous system was calibrated to 500 people in the room? Fuck no. But I got up on that stage and people still talk about that event to this day. I honestly feel like that is the one event that changed my entire life, my entire business, and really platformed me as a world-class speaker. I got up and I rocked that stage and I served and I spoke with so much passion. It was incredible. And we had an activation at the end and there was grown men and women crying from the activation, like a sea of 500 people crying, breakthroughs, incredible. And then literally the month after that, yes, I think I got about 45 to 50 clients from that room, which means a 10% conversion rate when I didn't even pitch or call to action. No pitch, no call to action. Yet 50 people from that room chose to reach out to me and book in a call with me and say yes to my program, which means I had, it was about a $120,000 cash month. Now we're going to go into another episode how I wasn't calibrated to that level of money and my financial thermostat decided to create magical ways to get me back down again. But that's a whole other episode. And I share this with you because so many people will be like, well, you just told us, Alex, how you created your first 100K month isn't actually strategy. You just got lucky because bring, you got a phone call that changed your life and you got to stand in front of 500 potential soulmate clients. Wow, I wish I was that lucky. And I'm here to say, you can be. You can be that lucky too, because it's not luck. What I'm actually talking about is courage. And I promise you, if you have the courage to continue to take action when it doesn't make sense, to choose action over clarity, to choose to lean in before you feel ready, to choose to continue to invest in yourself heavily over and over and over again. If you choose to get known for something and wash, rinse, and repeat it, or run that workshop and do it again and refine it and get better and better and better at your craft, I promise you, people start to know you. The reason I got that phone call from Chrissy Ord in the first place is because I had washed, rinsed, and repeated my workshops and my 21-day challenge so many times that people in the industry had no choice but to start recognizing me as the leader in that niche, right? So this is your job. You've got to start becoming known for what you're obsessed with. And this is when you start getting these opportunities. You're going to get asked to speak on that person's podcast. You're going to get asked to speak at that person's event. You're going to get asked to do this and that. And this is where opportunities come in. So again, like part of me feels, if I'm being really honest, like a little bit of not shame, but like I had a bit of resistance doing this episode because I'm like, are people going to just think I got lucky by shifting into my first beyond 100K cash month because I got this speaking event? Or did I get the speaking event because of all the things that I've been coding you with and educating you with in this episode? It's not luck, it's courage, it's you. You have the opportunity to create this same luck, right? Because when you lead with your mission and you make your why beyond your bank account, you make your why, the mission, humanity, contribution, your clients, what is beyond the bank account? What are you truly here for? How are you going to serve humanity, right? When you lead with that, the money flows. When you lead with mission, the ideas come through. When you make it about the mission and the vision, I promise you, you're going to get those lightning bolts. You're going to get those soul downloads that say, hey, you should run an event. Hey, you should run that first retreat. Hey, and whatever it is for you. And you having the courage to follow those whispers and act on them again and again and again, and investing in the right containers to get the support to do this and execute them so you don't let self-sabotage dictate your action. This is the magic. So to wrap it up, guys, honestly, I really want you to look inwards today. And I want you to give yourself a little bit of a homework piece and really ask yourself the honest question. Am I still chasing the money? Am I chasing the money? Or is it fully about the mission? And so this is going to be a real eye-opener for you, because if you're really honest with yourself and you're making it about the money, and I really want you to be honest with yourself. Yeah, I'm chasing the money. Yes, it's about the money. Yes, I desperately want to hit 100K cash months because then I want to be a 7-figure coach, because then I'll feel worthy, right? This is going to slow you down. This is going to completely slow down your progress. It's okay to want the money. Fuck yeah, desire the money. I'm all about the money, baby. I'm all about helping my clients get banked. Yes, and the fastest way to do that is to lead with a mission. So maybe another piece of homework to be is, if it is about the money and that is your shadow, that's cool. We love it. We don't shame ourselves. How can I lead with mission more? What would it take for me to lead with more courage, with more purpose? How can I share my heart more with my community, with my audience? What does my community need to see, feel, or hear from me so they know I am a new earth leader? And what I mean by new earth leader is you're here to create change. You're part of the revolution. We're all new earth leaders. If you have a service or a product that literally helps a human emotionally, mentally, financially, in some way, shape, or form to unplug them out of the 3D matrix, guess what? You're a new earth leader. You are here to create change, to help humanity evolve into a new paradigm. So go do that homework, legend. I love you, and I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for tuning into the manifestation game. If this episode activated something inside of you, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube so you never miss a drop, because as you know, my mission is to raise the vibration of humanity on a global scale. So the more people that this reaches, the faster we shift into the new earth. For more daily downloads and frequency shifts, come find me on social media at Alex Tripod. Let's keep manifesting the shit out of life.